I like to think of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier.
For Eric Burks,
That is actually him signing the contract, yes.
Black history is more than just a month.
Muhammad Ali.
He walks by it each day.
Just guys that really stood behind trying to make the world a better place.
Each card in his shop offers a tiny window into the past.
I think it just showed finally that we're getting the opportunity.
His shop includes almost every black sports icon you can think of, from Aaron and Mays.
Guys were pioneers back in the day.
To modern-day stars like LeBron and Patrick Mahomes.
It's nice to see that, over time that, we're breaking more and more of those barriers down. I may say something, but it may not reach like, if LeBron says it or Giannis Antetokounmpo says it or, Andrew McCutchen in baseball or someone like that.
Sports stars have often been at the forefront of civil rights, breaking color barriers and records thought to be untouchable for black athletes.
Now they're starting to get more respect, but at that point in time, they just weren't, because of the color issue. That goes back in there.
Burks displays and sells these glimpses into history.
Can't beat that.
Hoping to inspire a conversation on who an athlete was, on and off the field.
While they were going through it, I think they just knew that it was a bigger goal in mind. I'm going through all this, but I know down the line, 20, 30, 40 years from now, that my brother's gonna have it better.
Hoping true equality may one day be in the cards.
65, that's one of my favorite sets right there, 65 tops. And it's not just, just look at me because I'm black. And look at the issues because we're black.
Even now, hearing that I'm a victim is very hard.
Each word Jessica Steckmuller says cuts like a dagger.
When you tell the story of sexual assault, you have to remember what happened.
And each time she tells her story, brings pain.
I was sexually assaulted by a very close friend. I did not understand what had just happened. I actually had to call a friend. I called him within 30 minutes of it happening. And my friend had to just flatly say, "Jessica, you were raped."
But for Steckmuller, that trauma was made worse by how many times she had to tell her story as she got bounced from one hospital to another.
It made me feel like they didn't see it as important. And it made me feel like what had happened to me didn't matter.
When it comes to sexual assault, Illinois hospitals fall into two categories: transfer or treatment. Treatment hospitals are able to perform forensic rape kits. Transfer hospitals are not. HSHS St. Mary's Hospital says it switched from treatment to transfer this past August due to staffing shortages, sending patients to its sister hospital in Springfield, St. John's. Steckmuller was one survivor affected by this policy. Brenda Steen was another.
You feel like you've lost control.
Like Steckmuller, Steen initially showed up at St. Mary's. As a transfer facility, St. Mary's couldn't treat either woman. Instead of being transferred to Decatur Memorial Hospital, a treatment facility only 4 miles away, they were only offered a transfer to St. John's, more than 40 miles away.
My first reaction was, how am I getting there? Oh, well, we'd send you by ambulance. How am I getting back? I don't know.
Steen declined the ambulance ride and drove herself to DMH the next day. Steckmuller drove herself to St. John's the morning after she reported as well. Both of them had to once again tell their story and relive the trauma.
It's deflating, it's emotionally draining, and it becomes overwhelming in and of itself.
Your body starts to react. You start to feel a ball in the pit of your stomach because you don't want to tell the story, because you don't want to remember the story.
Under Illinois law, IDPH can only approve a request to become a transfer hospital if transferring patients does not unduly burden the sexual assault survivor. The law also states any hospital in a county with less than 1 million residents and a 4-year university cannot be a transfer hospital unless there is another hospital approved for sexual assault treatment in a 20-mile radius of that college. That means St. Mary's can only work as a transfer hospital because DMH is able to accept sexual assault patients for forensic exams. After we pressed for answers as to why the hospital is sending survivors to another city, St. Mary's issued a statement saying it originally contracted with St. John's because it was within the same health system and would complete the agreement in a timely fashion. Now St. Mary's says it's working on establishing a contract with DMH due to several of the same issues raised in this report. The hospital did not say when negotiations began, and as of now, no timeline for that agreement has been established. In a statement, DMH says it accepts all transfers, including sexual assault transfers, no matter if it has a transfer agreement in place or not. Regardless, advocacy groups say more needs to be done to close what they call a loophole in the law.
The intent is not for hospitals to transfer only to their network hospitals. The idea is to transfer to the nearest hospital.
We respect St. Mary's decision to become a transfer hospital. We just really want them to keep the Decatur rape victims in Decatur.
Transfers also make it harder on police departments investigating these crimes.
But it just adds another step in there that is can be cumbersome and burdensome on our manpower, which is already tight and limited as it is. But honestly, that's the least of my concerns. I'm really more concerned about the victim.
Decatur Police Chief Shane Brandell reports at least 5 cases have been affected by this policy. And when told St. Mary's could not perform a rape kit, Brandell says one survivor simply declined to file a police report or have a kit done at all. The potential transfer to Springfield cost officers the ability to build a rapport with that survivor.
That first interaction that law enforcement has with a victim really can set the stage for the rest of the entire investigation. And part of that, I think, is just about the trust.
That trust is also critical beyond law enforcement, from the hospital nurses performing the exams to the rape crisis centers providing the long-term support.
This is a very hard path to navigate. They are in trauma. We want them to focus on their healing, and that's it.
Because even after a case is resolved in the legal system, the trauma of the assault and its aftermath remains.
How intrusive is that process?
Very, absolutely. It's very intrusive because, like I said, their body is now a crime scene.
A crime scene that tells a painful story, like the one Steen and Steckmuller know all too well.
When you've been sexually assaulted, you don't want to believe that you've been sexually assaulted. When you've been sexually assaulted, you don't want to talk about being sexually assaulted. To sit in a car for 45 minutes and think, I'm going to tell my story to these people, I'm going to get a rape kit done, and then I'm going to talk to the police. That's a lot to think. When all you want to do is go home, shower, and forget that it had happened.
In Decatur, Deron Molen, WAND News.
Well, here we have stands. We have hot dogs, popcorn, Bethlehem scene, angels.
Don't believe the sunny skies or green leaves, because out here, it's Christmas.
There's about 2 months' work just setting it up.
Bill Bly volunteers his time organizing Shelbyville's Festival of Lights, tirelessly working in his own version of Santa's workshop.
Every year I put each display in a different spot. So it takes a lot of planning just where to put everything at.
That planning results in hundreds of displays spread throughout Forest Park.
Bring it up.
We can have people from all over the state come here to see our lights. We have the brightest, most colorful lights in the country.
The displays are spectacular, but this beardless Santa has a problem. He doesn't have enough elves.
Some of them take anywhere from 6 to 10 people to stand them up. If we don't get help, a lot of this stuff's not going to be put up.
And beyond that, there's the future of this decades-long Christmas tradition at stake here.
I'm going to turn 79 next month. I just hope I can find somebody to help take over. I don't know how many more years I got in me.
So what does he need? Well, your time, your hard work, and your Christmas cheer. Because if you give a little bit of that, your gift will keep on giving throughout the holidays.
My reward is just seeing happy faces. That's the only reward I get is it's people coming through and enjoying the lights.